Dear Ajahn, when it comes to letting go, how do you ask people who think you owe them a duty to make them happy to let you go? This would mainly be a close relative, since one can more easily tell an outsider to go away. How does one apply loving kindness to solve this? How to find enough loving kindness to do it? So, somebody else think you owe them a duty to make them happy? I don't know where that really comes from. Sometimes kids think their parents have a duty to make them happy and look after them up to a certain time. But remember, I always compare human beings to birds. We're supposed to be a high level of being. When it comes to raising children, you cannot beat the birds. Because the birds will look after the kids. They will sit on the eggs first of all. And if ever you've got a sore bottom sitting meditation, think of those poor birds. Hour after hour after hour. And as soon as those chicks are hatched, they feed and feed and feed them all day. And they always want more food. It's not like your kids. Sometimes they sleep, sometimes they've had enough. But birds, they've got their beak open, always asking for more. And then the birds teach their young how to fly. Now, when I did my 6-month solitary retreat, I used to watch a pair of eagles who were nesting, and you saw them take their kid, their baby, out for the first flight, which was really, really cute to watch that. Now, when you're on retreat for 6 months, you can actually watch nature become so sensitive and see a pair of eagles raise their young. And after that, once the bird can fly, what do mum and dad do? They're off. They kick the bird out of the nest. The son and daughter, they just go. You're out of here, mate. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful if parents could do that? Because all you owe them is, just bringing them up, looking after them, caring for them. But the point is that I like to impress upon parents, they're not your kids. These are beings who come into your life. Where they come from, you don't know. From what previous birth or previous realm. And now they're here in your life. And you look after them, care for them. And you really sacrifice a lot. You get a lot of fun out of that. But you always know that they're not yours. Later on, they will go into their own careers, their own life, go and get married, live in another country. And it's bye-bye, children. And that's as it should be. So your job is never to think that they are your children. That's the problem. They're just children. You look after them for a while and then you let them go. So you don't owe them past giving them an education and getting them started. And please don't leave your inheritance to your kids. Because it's such a stupid thing to do because the kids get very lazy. Maybe you can give them a bit of a start, but don't give them too much. If you give them too much, then they will never appreciate anything. And they usually waste it. So just give them enough to get going, and then, okay, off you go. So, and if it's like your partner in life, remember what I always said, I mentioned this earlier, when I do any marriage ceremony, I always look at one person, then the other person, then to say that in a marriage, in a relationship, you should never think of yourself, nor should you think of the partner, it's all about us. So if it's a case that you think of yourself and the partner as being different, then of course there is duties of owing. I helped you, now you have to help me back. When it's us, your duty is to the partnership, not to one person. It's to us. Not me, not him, not her. And that makes it a lot different. But if you owe them a duty to make them happy, to let you go. After a while, that you cannot own anybody. You can't own your children. You can't own your parents. You have to let them go sooner or later. And as I've often said, that's the greatest act of love, is to let somebody go. And remember, we had a wonderful time together. Now's the time you go to Singapore, I go somewhere else. We spent 9 days together. Bye-bye. And that's as it should be. We let each other go. We have no more duties than that. When we know what our duties are in life, and then it's one of the duties is to let go of things. And you don't owe anything. For example, that sometimes people are very grateful for the teachings and example which I have done and given you. And sometimes people say, well, I owe you Ajahn Brahm. And I always remember Ajahn Chah teaching me, because he helped me so much, and I asked him, how can I ever repay your debt, the debt I have to you? And he said, you can never repay the debt which you owe me, except by helping others. So you don't pay it back, you pay it on. So if I've helped you, the only way to pay off what you owe me is to give all these teachings and kindness to somebody else. That's why teaching you and teaching people in Malaysia and Australia and all over the world, it's the way I'm paying off my debt to Ajahn Chah. He helped me, so I help you. Now you're in debt to me. Now you've got to go and help somebody else. And then you paid off your debt to your teacher. That's how owing and letting go happens. It's quite beautiful. Let's see what else we've got here. Sorry to ask you to repeat. Please elaborate the donkey and the two durians relating to listless. Thank you very much. There was only one durian. Sometimes people are so greedy. They want two, an extra one. So the old story, donkey, durian, stick on the donkey's back, string on the end of a stick, durian on the end of the string. So when the donkey goes after the durian is always in front of the donkey's mouth and can never catch it. That's why we're always running somewhere. That's what listlessness is. We're always running somewhere, always going somewhere, always doing something. And we think that by going here, going there, we're going to catch something, get the durian, get satisfaction, happiness, or whatever else you're after in life. And you find that's the whole meaning of your life, is always running after something. And you can never catch it. You get close many times, but it's always in front of you, it's within reach, but when you go towards it, it disappears. Do you remember when you were children and you saw a rainbow, and you could see where the rainbow was striking the ground, maybe in some field or garden somewhere? When you went over to the end of the rainbow, and as soon as you approached where the rainbow met the ground, the rainbow moved away from you. You can never catch the foot of the rainbow. In Western culture, they always said it was a pot of gold at that end of a rainbow. But of course, you can never catch it. When you go towards it, it moves away from you. And that's like so many things in life. That's the durian in front of the donkey. But you find a way of catching that durian. You just stop. You let go. Now, I've told many people in their interviews, don't try to let go. You let go of trying. And this, it's not a smart aleck statement, it's actually very deep. Don't try to let go. Let go of trying, which means you stop. And then the durian comes towards you. So that's how you stop listlessness. Because restlessness is always wanting something and thinking that moving, scratching will get rid of the itch. But it never does. So after a while you just stop. And then everything which all that movement promised you comes to you, rather than you chasing it. I used to tell the monks one of my stories, that when I was a young monk in Thailand, it was very tough, not only with food, but you'd hardly ever see any tea or coffee or anything like that, except when you were dyeing your robes. Because to make dye you had to work maybe 24, 36 hours. So it was acceptable. If you were dyeing a robe, you can have some tea and coffee in the dyeing shed, as much as you like, because you've got to keep up all night. And one day, some of my friends, they were in the dyeing shed, dyeing their robes all night. And I happened to wake up a little bit early. The bell went at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was up about 2:45, and I thought, if I go to the dying shed, I'm sure my friends will give me a cup of tea or coffee. I'm up early enough, there'll be some there, and it will help me with my morning meditation. I'll have good meditation that morning. And I thought, no, that's just following your craving. That's not the sort of thing a good monk should do. And before I knew it, I was off walking towards the dying shed. I just couldn't resist. And when I got to, halfway towards the dying shed, I heard the 3 o'clock bell ring. And that was important to notice. And when I got to the shed a couple of minutes later, it was cleaned up, they'd finished. They'd finished early. And so no monks were there, no tea, no coffee, but it was all still warm. And I thought, oh, well, never mind. So I went into the hall and did my meditation, which was quite sleepy. And after the meditation was finished, those monks, they came up to me and said, Ajahn Brahm, where were you at 3 a.m.? I said, I was out walking along that path. Oh, we came the other path to bring you a cup of tea. They were so kind, and I was kind to them. They'd made a cup of tea for me and were going to give it to me as I woke up in the early morning. If I